Welcome to the Ultimate AZ900 Exam Masterclass. Are you ready to crack the AZ900 exam in one go? You're in the right place. In this session, we'll arm you with powerful insights and hand-picked questions that can make all the difference in your exam performance. We've scanned the web using intelligent crawlers to gather the most critical and high-impact questions, all compiled into one powerful PDF resource. You can download it from the link in the description. Not only will we explore these must-practice questions, but we'll also share real exam experiences and pro tips to give you that competitive edge. Let's dive into the key questions that could shape your success. Question 1. Your company has data centers in Los Angeles and New York. The company has a Microsoft Azure subscription. You are configuring the two data centers as geo-clustered sites for site resiliency. You need to recommend an Azure storage redundancy option. You have the following data storage requirements. Data must be stored on multiple nodes. Data must be stored on nodes in separate geographic locations. Data can be read from the secondary location as well as from the primary location. Which of the following Azure stored redundancy options should you recommend? A. Geo-redundant storage. B. Read-only geo-redundant storage. C. Zone-redundant storage. D. Locally redundant storage. Correct answer is B. Read-only geo-redundant storage. Explanation. This option ensures your data is replicated across regions and readable from secondary. Perfect for disaster recovery with read access to geo-replicated data. Question 2. Your developers have created 10 web applications that must be hosted on Azure. You need to determine which Azure Web Tier plan to host the web apps. The Web Tier plan must meet the following requirements. The web apps will use custom domains. The web apps each require 10 GB of storage. The web apps must each run in dedicated compute instances. Load balancing between instances must be included. Costs must be minimized. Which web tier plan should you use? A. Standard. B. Basic. C. Free. D. Shared. Correct answer is A. Standard. Explanation. The standard plan supports custom domains, load balancing, and dedicated compute. It provides high performance and scalability at a reasonable cost. Question 3. You plan to migrate a web application to Azure. The web application is accessed by external users. You need to recommend a cloud deployment solution to minimize the amount of administrative effort used to manage the web application. What should you include in the recommendation? A. Software as a service. B. Platform as a service. C. Infrastructure as a service. D. Database as a service. Correct answer is B. Platform as a service. Explanation. Platform as a service takes care of infrastructure and OS management for you. You just focus on your app while Azure handles the backend. Question 4. Your company has virtual machines hosted in Microsoft Azure. The VMs are located in a single Azure virtual network named VNet1. The company has users that work remotely. The remote workers require access to the VMs on VNet1. You need to provide access for the remote workers. What should you do? A. Configure a site-to-site VPN. B. Configure a VNet to VNet VPN. C. Configure a point-to-site VPN. D. Configure direct access on a Windows Server 2012 server VM. E. Configure a multi-site VPN. Correct answer is C. Configure a point-to-site VPN. Explanation. Point-to-site VPN allows individual users to securely connect to Azure resources. It's ideal for remote access without setting up full site connectivity. Question 5. You have an on-premises network that contains several servers. You plan to migrate all the servers to Azure. You need to recommend a solution to ensure that some of the servers are available if a single Azure data center goes offline for an extended period. What should you include in the recommendation? A. Fault tolerance. B. Elasticity. C. Scalability. D. Low latency. Correct answer is A. Fault tolerance. Explanation: fault tolerance ensures your application keeps running even when failures occur. It's key to maintaining uptime during unexpected outages. Question 6. What are two characteristics of the public cloud? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. A. Dedicated hardware. B. Unsecured connections. C. Limited storage. D. Metered pricing. E. Self-service management. Correct answer is D and E. Metered pricing. Self-service management. Explanation: public cloud offers pay-as-you-go pricing and lets users manage services independently. This helps reduce operational burden and control costs. Question 7. Your company hosts an accounting application named App 1 used by all the customers. App 1 has low usage during the first 3 weeks and high usage during the last week of each month. Which benefit of Azure Cloud Services supports cost management for this usage pattern? A. High availability. B. High latency. C. Elasticity. D. Load balancing. Correct answer is C. Elasticity. Explanation: elasticity lets your resources scale up or down based on demand. This saves costs when usage is low and maintains performance when it's high. Question 8. Your developers have created a portal web app for users in the Miami branch office. The web app will be publicly accessible and used by the Miami users to retrieve customer and product information. The web app is currently running in an on-premises test environment. You plan to host the web app on Azure. You need to determine which Azure web tier plan to host the web app. The web tier plan must meet the following requirements. The website will use the miami.wayland.com URL. The website will be deployed to 2 instances. SSL support must be included. The website requires 12 GB of storage. Costs must be minimized. Which web tier plan should you use? A. Standard. B. Basic. C. Free. D. Shared. Correct answer is A. Standard. Explanation: the standard plan supports SSL, custom domains, and multiple instances. It's best suited for medium traffic production workloads. Question 9. You have an on-premises network with 100 servers. You need to recommend a solution that provides additional resources and minimizes capital and operational costs. What should you include in the recommendation? A. A complete migration to the public cloud. B. An additional data center. C. A private cloud. D. A hybrid cloud. Correct answer is D. A hybrid cloud. Explanation: a hybrid cloud connects your on-premises network to Azure. This gives flexibility and cost savings without full migration. Question 10. You plan to migrate servers from an on-premises network to Azure. What is an advantage of using a public cloud service over an on-premises network? A. The public cloud is owned by the public. B. The public cloud is a crowdsourcing solution. C. All public cloud resources are free to access. D. The public cloud is a shared entity used by multiple corporations. Correct answer is D. The public cloud is a shared entity used by multiple corporations. Explanation: public cloud shares resources among multiple organizations, reducing costs. It offers scalability, availability, and reduced maintenance. Question 11. In which type of cloud model are all the hardware resources owned by a third party and shared between multiple tenants? A. Private. B. Hybrid. C. Public. Correct answer is C. Public. Explanation. In a public cloud, the infrastructure is managed by a provider and shared among users. This model offers cost efficiency and quick scalability. Question 12. In cloud computing, answer choice allows you to deploy applications to regional data centers around the world. Select only one answer. A. Disaster recovery. B. Elasticity. C. Geolocation. D. High availability. Correct answer is C. Geolocation. Explanation. Geolocation lets you choose data center regions across the globe for your app. This helps reduce latency and meet data residency needs. Question 13. In which two deployment models are customers responsible for managing operating systems that host applications? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Select all answers that apply. A. Infrastructure as a service. B. On-premises. C. Platform as a service. D. Software as a service. Correct answer is A and B. Infrastructure as a service. On-premises. Explanation. With on-prem and IaaS, you manage the OS and software layers. PaaS and SaaS take care of more for you. Question 14. In a platform as a service model, which two components are the responsibility of the cloud service provider? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Select all answers that apply. A. Information and data. B. Operating system. C. Physical network. D. User access. Correct answer is B and C. Operating system. Physical network. Explanation. PaaS providers handle the OS and network infrastructure for your app. You focus on code and configuration, not maintenance. Question 15. You need to compare the costs of running an application in an on-premises data center with the costs of running the application in Azure. What should you use to assist you? Select only one answer. A. Azure Advisor. B. Azure Cost Management. C. Azure Pricing Calculator. D. Total Cost of Ownership Calculator. Correct answer is D. Total Cost of Ownership Calculator. Explanation. TCO Calculator compares long-term costs of on-prem versus Azure cloud hosting. It's useful for financial planning and migration justification. Question 16. You have 1,000 virtual machines hosted on the Hyper-V hosts in a data center. You plan to migrate all the virtual machines to an Azure pay-as-you-go subscription. You need to identify which expenditure model to use for the planned Azure solution. Which expenditure model should you identify? A. Operational. B. Elastic. C. Capital. D. Scalable. Correct answer is A. Operational. Explanation. Operational expenditure means you pay for what you use, when you use it. This replaces large upfront costs with ongoing payments. Question 17. You plan to provision infrastructure as a service resources in Azure. Which resource is an example of IaaS? A. An Azure web app. B. An Azure virtual machine. C. An Azure Logic app. D. An Azure SQL database. Correct answer is B. An Azure virtual machine. Explanation. Virtual machines are classic examples of infrastructure as a service. You control the OS, apps, and configuration on top of Azure's hardware. Question 18. To which cloud models can you deploy physical servers? A. Private cloud and hybrid cloud only. B. Private cloud only. C. Private cloud, hybrid cloud, and public cloud. D. Hybrid cloud only. Correct answer is A. Private cloud and hybrid cloud only. Explanation: only private and hybrid cloud models support deploying physical servers. Public cloud uses virtualized resources managed by the provider. Question 19. Which two services can you use to establish network connectivity between an on-premises network and Azure resources? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Select all answers that apply. A. Azure Bastion. B. Azure Firewall. C. Azure VPN Gateway. D. Express Route. Correct answer is C and D. Azure VPN Gateway. Express Route. Explanation: VPN Gateway and Express Route both connect your local network to Azure. VPN uses the Internet, while Express Route provides a private connection. Question 20. What can you use to ensure that users authenticate by using multi-factor authentication when they attempt to sign in from a specific location? Select only one answer. A. Administrative units. B. Azure Role-Based Access Control. C. Conditional access. D. Single sign-on. Correct answer is C. Conditional access. Explanation: conditional access allows you to enforce policies like requiring multi-factor authentication based on conditions such as user location. Question 21. Your company plans to migrate to Azure. The company has several departments. All the Azure resources used by each department will be managed by a department administrator. What are one possible techniques to segment Azure for the departments? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Multiple subscriptions. B. Multiple Azure Active Directory directories. C. Multiple regions. Correct answer is A. Multiple subscriptions. Explanation: to divide control and billing across departments, you can use subscriptions and resource groups. This ensures better management, security, and cost tracking for each department. Question 22. You have an Azure environment that contains multiple Azure virtual machines. You plan to implement a solution that enables the client computers on your on-premises network to communicate to the Azure virtual machines. You need to recommend which Azure resources must be created for the planned solution. Which two Azure resources should you include in the recommendation? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. A. A virtual network gateway. B. A load balancer. C. An application gateway. D. A virtual network. E. A gateway subnet. Correct answer is A and D. A virtual network gateway. A virtual network. Explanation: to connect your on-premises network to Azure securely, you need a virtual network and a gateway. This enables encrypted communication using a VPN tunnel. Question 23. You attempt to create several managed Microsoft SQL Server instances in an Azure environment and receive a message that you must increase your Azure subscription limits. What should you do to increase the limits? A. Create a service health alert. B. Upgrade your support plan. C. Modify an Azure policy. D. Create a new support request. Correct answer is D. Create a new support request. Explanation: when you hit resource limits, submit a support request to increase quotas. This is the official way to request changes in subscription limits. Question 24. Your company plans to move several servers to Azure. The company's compliance policy states that a server named FinServer must be on a separate network segment. You are evaluating which Azure services can be used to meet the compliance policy requirements. Which Azure solution should you recommend? A. A resource group for FinServer and another resource group for all the other servers. B. A virtual network for FinServer and another virtual network for all the other servers. C. A VPN for FinServer and a virtual network gateway for each other server. D. One resource group for all the servers and a resource lock for FinServer. Correct answer is B. A virtual network for FinServer and another virtual network for all the other servers. Explanation. Virtual networks define network boundaries and isolation in Azure. Using separate virtual networks ensures FinServer is isolated as per compliance needs. Question 25. You plan to map a network drive from several computers that run Windows 10 to Azure Storage. You need to create a storage solution in Azure for the planned mapped drive. What should you create? A. An Azure SQL database. B. A virtual machine data disk. C. A file service in a storage account. D. A blob service in a storage account. Correct answer is C. A file service in a storage account. Explanation. The Azure File Service supports SMB protocol for drive mapping. It's designed for sharing files just like a traditional network drive. Question 26. Your company plans to start using Azure and will migrate all its network resources to Azure. You need to start the planning process by exploring Azure. What should you create first? A. A subscription. B. A resource group. C. A virtual network. D. A management group. Correct answer is A. A subscription. Explanation. A subscription is the foundational step to start using any Azure services. It provides access to billing, service quotas, and identity management. Question 27. Which Azure service should you use to collect events from multiple resources into a centralized repository? A. Azure Event Hubs. B. Azure Analysis Services. C. Azure Monitor. D. Azure Stream Analytics. Correct answer is A. Azure Event Hubs. Explanation. Azure Event Hubs ingests large-scale event data from various sources. It's ideal for telemetry, logging, and streaming real-time analytics. Question 28. You need to be notified when Microsoft plans to perform maintenance that can affect the resources deployed to an Azure subscription. What should you use? A. Azure Monitor. B. Azure Service Health. C. Azure Advisor. D. Microsoft Trust Center. Correct answer is B. Azure Service Health. Explanation. Azure Service Health keeps you informed about planned maintenance or outages. It provides personalized alerts and detailed reports for your subscription. Question 29. You plan to deploy several Azure virtual machines. You need to ensure that the services running on the virtual machines remain available if a single data center fails. What are two possible solutions? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. A. Deploy the virtual machines to two or more availability zones. B. Deploy the virtual machines to two or more resource groups. C. Deploy the virtual machines to a scale set. D. Deploy the virtual machines to two or more regions. Correct answer is A and D. Deploy the virtual machines to two or more availability zones. Deploy the virtual machines to two or more regions. Explanation. Availability zones and regions provide fault tolerance against data center failures. They ensure high availability and disaster recovery across physical locations. Question 30. What is the most severe failure from which an Azure availability zone can be used to protect access to Azure service? A. A physical server failure. B. An Azure region failure. C. A storage failure. D. An Azure data center failure. Correct answer is D. An Azure data center failure. Explanation: availability zones are separate data centers within a region. They protect your services even if an entire data center goes down. Check the description for the PDF download link and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for upcoming episodes. Thank you.